Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Amanda Sheriff. I am the school counselor at Jacksonville Country Day School.
My name is Shannon Johnson. I am the science specialist and academic tech integration specialist.
And today we're going to be talking to you about technology and how to use it effectively with our students and your children. The program today is called Connecting with the Interconnected Kid. The purpose of today is to inform our parents and guardians about current research that will help guide internet use and safety. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about social media statistics, and according to the Cyberbullying Research Center, every second there are 4,000 pictures uploaded to Facebook, 700 pictures uploaded to Instagram, and as you can read the rest of these statistics, it is an alarming number of people that are on the internet at any given second of the day. We want to give you some information about the restrictions for the age requirements for social media. As you can see, all of the websites, you have to be at least 13 years old to be on these websites. Many of our students at this school obviously are not 13, and so if we have students that are on these websites, we need to make sure that parents are informed about the possibility of them being on these websites and social media websites, so that they are aware of what is out there and then how they can effectively help their children. We have the link listed below. This is a great 2-minute segment that Good Morning America did on screen time. And screen time is kind of a relative term now. We use it all the time. We're thinking about our smartphones, thinking about our iPads, the computers we're on our screens a lot of times throughout the day. This is a great little segment. I would highly encourage you to use the link at the bottom and watch this short video. So what does the research say about too much screen time? Well, too much is kind of a relative term, but research from Harvard and Forbes show that the average child is getting about 8 hours of screen time each day. Screenfree.org researched and showed that 81% of our youth play video games at least once a month, and almost 9% are addicted. The average 8 to 12-year-old is playing about 13 hours a week. So we're watching and we're on screens a lot of time during the day. And what does it lead to? Well, they show from statistics that it's leading to weight gain and obesity. Because of the low levels of physical energy, our children are inside more than they're outside. Studies from the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood report a link to increase that there's an increase in their BMI. When children are watching TV, they're on average consuming about 167 calories per hour. Now, that's not a lot if you're just using 1 hour of screen time a day or maybe 2, but these children are on it up to 7-8 hours a day. So 167 multiple times throughout the day, our children are consuming a lot of calories. When we talk about difficulty sleeping, children who sleep near a screen, which usually would be a smartphone, they're getting 20.6 fewer minutes of sleep every single night. They report having insufficient rest compared to those that do not sleep near a screen. And screens emit high levels of blue light, which depletes the melatonin levels. And melatonin's obviously a hormone linked to the rhythm, which we know in our biological clock of how we sleep. So it's worth pointing out that because in smartphones and tablets and all these screens are held so much closer to our face, the effects of the blue light are giving much more dramatic effects to our body than we're even able to understand. The social emotional behaviors that are linked to screen time. The Journal of Direct Science did a study that found that 6th graders who took a 5-day break from cell phones, computers, screen time in general, while also socializing at a camp with peers, became better able to read nonverbal cues than people who continue to have their phones and smart devices for those 5 days. So when we're connecting to a screen instead of looking at people in the eye and having real face-to-face communication, our emotional intelligence is decreased. There's also a link to increased aggressiveness, and a study by Calvert and Tan showed that when they pre-tested and post-tested children that play on violent video games, that there's an elevated heart rate and there are more aggressive thoughts after they play. So there's a huge desensitization to violence, and we want you to be aware of what your kids are playing with, and Shannon's going to go over that in a bit about how to help this situation. They're also linked to lower creativity and declining grades. Obviously, if our kids are on these devices and they're playing games or watching TV, they're not really learning. They're not learning, obviously, their schoolwork or doing their homework or reading for any specific subject. The Campaign for a Free Commercial Childhood shared that there's a link between 2 or more hours of screen time and hyperactivity, conduct problems, negative attitude towards school, and poor homework completion. And last but not least, there's a lack of social skills and emotional connection. Obviously, instead of looking people in the eye and speaking to them and asking them questions about themselves, they are looking at the screen. There's less eye contact, manners are less likely to be used, and there's conversational skills are less. Another topic we want to bring to your attention in terms of research is cyberbullying. Obviously, you've heard of cyberbullying before, and that term bullying gets thrown around a lot. But when we talk about what cyberbullying is, the specific definition that we use is willful and repeated harm inflicted through the use of computers, cell phone, and other electronic devices. So when we look at cyberbullying statistics, we see that there is more it's more common than we think. The U.S. Department of Justice says 1 in 5 children are cyberbullied before the age of 18. 43% of teens under the age of 17 or between 13 and 17 have experienced some form of cyberbullying in the last year. And typically we see more girls getting cyberbullied than boys. But that also could be because girls tend to be on social media websites more often than boys. But that doesn't mean that boys aren't experiencing it as well.
So what can parents do? The first bit of advice would be that you model for your children, that showing self-control as adults helps children understand that the importance of such behaviors, that we put our phones away during dinner, during conversations, we're not checking our phones. Instead, we're actually looking face-to-face with the person we're talking to. Another bit of advice would be to monitor and supervise your children while they're on the internet. Looking at the next point, consider playing their games with them and watching their shows with them. That way, you can have conversations about what they're playing. We would encourage you to go in and say something like, "Oh, which character are you? Oh, what is your character doing?" Not in a punitive way, but more showing interest so that you know what kind of questions to ask and you know what this game is about, that they're actually playing. As well as watching shows that they're watching so that you understand the characters and when the children are talking about characters in these shows and games, that you can actually have a conversation with them. Another bit of advice would be that you friend your children on social media. You might even consider that you are the person that starts the page. If your child wants to start a Pinterest page, maybe you start the page for them, and that way you will know their passwords, and then you can go on and friend them as well or join their page so that you know what they're posting and you can be alerted to things that might be concerning. Consider spending uninterrupted, disconnected time with your children, meaning that when you're on vacation for an hour or two, put your phone away and, just hang out and have personal conversations. Also, set up boundaries with your children and allow them to be part of the boundary making so that they feel involved in it. Here are some interesting things that we learned from the Forbes Tech magazine that came out last month. An idea was to consider holding Tech Talk Tuesdays so that your family can hash out feelings in a calm, rational manner when it comes to technology. So that instead of when the situation arises, when everybody's blood is boiling and there's some anger happening and it's harder to listen, instead consider having these Tech Talk Tuesdays or something. It could be any day of the week where you sit down and you talk about how are our boundaries going, how do you feel about the rules that we've made. Again, it also helps if mom and dad aren't checking his or her phone every 5 minutes, because kids don't want to be held to a higher standard than his or her parent. Although we understand that parents, have responsibilities and the ability to do things that children don't. If you're arbitrarily making up rules for them and they don't understand why, and they don't understand why you don't have to follow the rules, then it can be harder for them to abide by them. So this is some more advice about setting up those boundaries. This also came from Forbes Tech magazine. Part of developing self-control is understanding and believing in the goal. So once they, meaning the children, are sold on the idea of limiting screen time, then create boundaries with their input, so the rules don't seem arbitrary and unfair. Draw up a contract so that kids understand what is expected of them. And hopefully this will help lead to honest communication and the children wanting to do what's right, instead of the children feeling like they need to sneak around and do things behind their parents' and teachers' backs. The next question is, what is JCDS doing? Well, we want to make sure that you understand that we're doing everything we can to help our students become good technology citizens. So first of all, JCDS does control all the iPad apps. It's all password secured, and the children are told and know not to try to attempt to download any apps that have not been approved by the tech committee. Also, they are supervised at all times when they have their iPads out within the classroom. But we need the parents and the children to also understand that a part of this is the student's responsibility, that a teacher can only see so many children at one time. So although everybody's on their iPad at one time within the classroom, the teacher can't see every single iPad. So students are expected to be where they're supposed to be on the iPad at any particular time. We've also emphasized to the students that the iPad is only for educational purposes, and the children are asked to sign a monthly contract. Each month the teacher brings out the contract that has the rules and expectations for use of the iPad to remind the children what is expected, and then they are asked to sign the contract. Another important thing that JCDS is doing is a program called Child Safety Matters. We have lessons in grades kindergarten through 6th grade, and Ms. Sharoff will share a little bit more about that with you now.
Child Safety Matters actually is a program that's based right out of here in Jacksonville. It's brought to us by the Monique Burr Foundation. If you're familiar with long ago Good Touch, Bad Touch, it's the new version of the Good Touch, Bad Touch program. It talks about bullying and cyberbullying. It talks about ways to stay safe in and out of the classroom using 5 safety rules of knowing what's up, knowing your personal information and your family's personal information, knowing what red flags are or dangerous situations, and then what to do if we're ever in a dangerous situation, which would be we could use rule number 3 and make a move to get away and stay away. Rule number 4 requires us to talk it up, which means we would want to talk to a safe adult about that. And we talk about who a safe adult is and how we could speak to them. And then rule number 5 helps us understand that no blame, no shame means that if anything bad were to happen to us, it's not our fault. We just want to be able to know about it so that we can help about it. This program also goes into detail about the 4 types of abuse. And obviously in the earlier grades, we don't talk too heavily about the types of abuse. But once we get into the older grades of 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, we do touch on the 4 types of abuse of physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect, and how none of those are ever okay, and how we need to use our voice, and we need to know the danger signs so that we can get away and stay away if we're ever in a dangerous situation.
This is another video that we came across called Screenagers. It is a very interesting video that we have the link available on the top 10 takeaways, which is also available on our JCDS school website if you're interested in watching this video. Or you could Google it through YouTube called Screenagers. It's very interesting, and we encourage you to take a look at that.
So during the 2 events that we had here at school, if you are familiar with Chick-fil-A, they're doing a wonderful program. It's called the Family Challenge, and they call them cell phone coops, and they have these little plastic paper boxes, and they put them in the middle of a table, and they encourage families and people that are going to be eating a meal together to put their cell phone in this little paper bag throughout the meal and actually have conversations with each other, talk to each other without being on your phone. If you do not take your phone out throughout the entire meal, you can go up to the counter and they will give you a free ice cream. So we actually did that experiment right here at JCDS, and it was a really, really neat conversation to ask the parents at the very beginning of our presentation to put their cell phones in there. And then we talked about it during this segment of, did you give up your phone? How did you feel without your phone? Would you be willing to do this at dinner time or at bedtime? And it's a great idea of putting your cell phone in the middle of the table face down so that you are completely not distracted by it, and that you can have some real life conversations with the individual that you're spending time with.
So we encourage you to try that at home. Maybe with a box on your counter in the kitchen, everybody puts their phone in before bedtime or dinner time, something of that nature.
If you have any questions or you'd like to know more research, Shannon and I love this kind of stuff, so we are more than happy to do the dirty work for you, if you will. So please let us know how we can serve you and serve, obviously, your children first and foremost. We are very thankful for the opportunity that we have to present this information. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is asheroff, SHEROFF, @jcds.com.
And mine is sjohnson @jcds.com.
Wonderful.
Thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.